All right, I'm gonna get my bearings about me here, and then we'll get after here. What's up, y'all? This is Austin here with the Fitness That Fits You podcast, or rather, the podcast titled "Let's Talk About It," hosted by Fitness That Fits You. Okay, we've got a very special guest on today. She is a doctor of chiropractic care here in Louisville, Kentucky. Her name is Danielle. Danielle, without butchering your last name, I'm not going to do that. I think that I know it, but I'm not going to be weird. I'm going to let you introduce yourself and tell people who you are and get it right.
Yeah, okay, perfect. My name is Danielle Geiger. And I'm a doctor of chiropractic here in St. Matthews, right in Louisville.
Nice. Okay, so I've been saying Geiger, so we're good. We're good. I know now. I've been getting it right. I see something furry behind you. Is that a?
Yeah, she needs attention.
Oh my gosh! What kind of dog is that?
She's an Australian Shepherd.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that dog before we started recording, so that's why it just kind of caught me off guard there.
As soon as I get on the phone or do something of importance, she's like, I'm going to be there too.
That's funny. She's gorgeous. Well, Danielle, how are you doing today? Well, how's work been going for you and everything today?
I've been great. Today's been a great day despite the gloomy weather outside. I know the listeners can't see it, but yes, today has been awesome.
Yeah. And I will say that a lot of people they're from Louisville, the people that are listening, so they are 100% with you on what's going on with the weather. Danielle, so we've got a mutual contact, or rather, an individual that we both worked with. I obviously won't say their name due to HIPAA. But they came in probably last year. Maybe really not long after I opened the space in July. I would say a couple months after that, and they were like, "Hey, I saw you online on Facebook." They came in, their husband, they were all about it and ready to sign up. And I was just like, oh, okay. Well, do you need to know more info? Did someone refer you to me? And she was just like, no. I've been watching you on Facebook. I don't need to know much else. I'm just ready to get it. I was like, all right, cool. So, she came in and we got to work, and, she's been a pleasure, kind of listening to her about, talking to her about her kids and her family and all of that stuff. But recently she came into the gym. And she was just like, oh, I went to the chiropractor the other day, and my chiropractor was looking at me, scoping me out, and was like, man, you really look strong. You really look good. What's been going on? And so she told you about me, and you were like, wait a second, really? And then you showed her the business card, and there was this mutual response of, whoa, okay, so that's super duper cool. That's super cool. I love that.
It was so funny because I'm like, I knew she was doing something, and I was like, who are you working with? And she's like, oh, this super cool person named Austin. I was like, I know who that is.
Very, very
He's
nice.
Awesome.
Yeah. I love Louisville. It's such a, it's small, but to know that these, connections are out there is, it's pretty cool. So Danielle, in the midst of us talking about the itinerary for the day, I forgot to mention that we are also both in the chamber together. How long have you been in the chamber, by the way? I meant to ask you that.
I've been involved in the Chamber of St. Matthews for almost 2 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you're a veteran. I'm glad that I'm talking to you. Let's get it. All right. This is awesome. Okay. So I obviously just, I just joined, probably January and February. But it was February because the upcoming orientation following my joining was the middle of March or so. But so far I'm really loving it. I was a little worried about just the environment. There didn't seem to be a ton of diversity to the environment. And then it seems like each meeting there seems to be people of all shapes and sizes, colors, and different occupational backgrounds, all coming together. And I'm like, man, I'm really starting to really enjoy this.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
It's a good group.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, Danielle, tell us a little bit about you and your fitness background. Obviously, I'm going to like talk about fitness, being that this is a fitness podcast. So tell us a little bit about what you do, how you fit, what fitness fits you.
Yeah. So I've always been like a pretty active person since a young age. Played all sorts of sports. Volleyball was my main one through majority of high school. I did not play college ball. Just did like intramural stuff for fun, but I always have been pretty active, and pretty well versed or involved in a gym of some sort. But I changed up what I did. Like every year I do something different, and I never really found anything that I liked. That is until I started to explore HIIT training and CrossFit specifically. And I know that's like, people are probably thinking like chiropractor and CrossFit, that doesn't quite make sense. There is a safe way to do it. You can't knock it till you try it. As long as you have a good coach and like you're knowledgeable in proper biomechanics, and then you're safe about your lifts, it can be like a pretty incredible workout. And so I've been doing that for the last 4 years. And it's now just become like part of my life. Like I don't even think about, like, I just go to the gym. Like that's part of me. It's not a burden. I love it.
Nice. Very cool. Now, what gym are you with here in Louisville?
Yeah. So I'm a part of Derby City CrossFit off of Melwood. Mm-hmm.
Hey, my director of the director of physical therapy over at Pro Rehab, and I think we chatted about this a little bit, but he kind of turned me on to that. Yeah. He's probably the reason I got into CrossFit. I went to that workout and I trained. I just didn't train like that. And, I went in there and it was like a D-ball, like squat day. And like, man, there was something else going on. All I know is at the end of the day, just like my posterior chain, like my low back, my glutes, my hamstrings, all of it was trashed. And like, I realized my post-workout recovery wasn't very good in terms of nutrition. But, also I just wasn't ready for that kind of workout. I remember throughout the day, I had an 8-hour shift at Pro Rehab. And I remember throughout the day being like, oh my God, like increasingly, like my back was feeling worse throughout the day, but it wasn't like back, sometimes people feel that back pain and mentally they think that, oh, I can never do this again. I knew that it was just discomfort, but I say all that to say that I've always respected CrossFit athletes because of that. So I know that you probably had that starting point for you too and got over the hump, and that's awesome to get over the hump there.
Yeah.
Fight through it, Absolutely. Yeah. Very cool. So as I said, as we've been talking about, you all, Danielle is a chiropractor, and she's the first chiropractor we've actually had on the show. So hats off to that celebration. If I knew how to do like a celebration sound on here, I would. But I'm glad that she's here. Now I'd like to know just a little bit about your journey and how you got to where you are. We've all got a story, so please enlighten us. I'm very excited to hear what your journey may be.
Yeah. Okay. So, let me give a couple, I'll talk first about how I got into it, and then I'll explain kind of like what we do at the practice.
Nice.
I actually was introduced to chiropractic at a pretty young age. My mom was told by somebody like, hey, you should bring your kids into a chiropractor. And she was like, okay, cool, I'll do that. And I went to one, had x-rays taken, and turns out I was like 11 or 12. So right in that age where you kind of go through some sort of growth spurt. Mm-hmm. And I was developing a scoliosis, which most people should know, but it's curvature of the spine, typically in the lumbar spine. But I was developing that, and I worked with my chiropractor pretty frequently. I remember going like 2 to 3 times a week, and we changed how that was forming, and ultimately stopped it from becoming something that, 1, would need surgery, or 2, that needed to be braced. I never had to be braced, and I never needed to go get surgery. It never became like this massive issue for me, which in my eyes at like 12 years old, I was like, what? Like, 1, I didn't have to get a shot. And I didn't it was just crazy. It didn't hurt either. It was pain-free to get those treatments done. So at that age, I was like incredibly fascinated at what chiropractic was. And I just told myself, no, this is probably what I'm going to do when I get older.
Okay.
And so I went through undergrad with a background in kinesiology, which is the study of movement, which is also something that I'm very passionate about. So now where I'm at, I just kind of combine the two because I like to help people move better. But then I also like to look at the spine and see like biomechanically, how can we do that for what the person is dealing with? And then boom, here I am.
So cool. So cool. Okay. This is a little bit of a deviation here. Tell me, okay, so the scoliosis in your low back, right? I would imagine that, is this somewhat common amongst people like in their early ages of development?
Yes. So it's very common to kind of grow into that, especially for young women. But also like anybody who, when you're going through puberty and you're growing so fast, but you're also playing sports and just doing life,
Okay.
you can kind of grow into something that's not in the right position. But the great thing about recognizing and catching scoliosis early is if it's done early enough, you can stop the pathway and prevent anything surgically from happening in the future or having to be braced. And a lot of people, the sad thing is so many people don't know about that. And I have met people that have had fusions at the age of 15 or 17 years old, just because that's what their doctor told them to do.
Oh man, that's, yeah. I got to be honest with you. Like I don't, and this is more so with regard to like, general doctors and surgeons, stuff like that. Like, I've got a couple clients in here now that are always talking about how the doctor is like pushing, weight loss surgery and this diet pill that they need to take and stuff like that. Like, and it's always this push of, like that being the primary answer, right? And it's never about the little thing, the maintenance that they can do on the back end of that. So it just, that always just, that whenever I hear about it, I'm just like, please no. So I'm glad there's somebody like you in the world that's like actually, steering them in a different direction.
And that is such a nice segue into explaining how we run our practice, because you fit that model as well. I can't tell you how many patients that we hear that from on a daily basis. And the practice that I'm at is called Awaken To Wellness Center. And so if you're seeing that, you're not thinking chiropractor right off the bat. Because we look at so much more than just your spine. It's a lifestyle practice, and it's myself and then another chiropractor in the office. And we pride ourselves on teaching patients how to eat well, move well, think well, because mindset matters. And then we combine it all in a unique way for that specific patient, depending on what their chief complaints are, what they're coming to see us for, but then also what does your spine actually look like? Because the spine's literally the foundation that holds everything together. So we got to make sure that that's healthy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow. So, okay. So tell me a little bit about this. Cause I have a couple questions that I want to ask you for sure. Once we talked about, but there's this lingering conversation or controversy, I feel like, between the chiropractic world and the physical therapy world. Like, you're smiling because I think you knew it. I think you knew what I was gonna like ask you. I think you knew what I was gonna, but like, it's like, so, I'm here, I'm the fitness specialist, right? I'm the movement specialist. So like, I need my people and anyone else coming off the street to have visited you all or physical therapists. Like, if you're dealing with anything acute, go to those people first, because you can't get the most out of what we need to do here unless they've been to see the doctors, right? So I need them to go and see you all. But there is something to say about the maintenance of your health, aspect after that, right? Like, still utilizing those people. However, there have been times where I've been in a physical therapy atmosphere environment, and, I am a firm believer in all things all realms of health and wellness. I'll go to massage therapist, physical therapist, chiropractor. I'll do it all in one day and then go do a workout and then go to the sauna. Like if I have a health day, like that's what I'm doing. Right.
Yeah.
And so there's always been this pushback, like you don't want to go to a chiropractor because they just do this or just do that. And like, that's something that's always been an extremely like elusive, like argument for me. Right. And so like, I'm just curious, if it's not something you want to talk about, that's fine too. I'm maybe catching you off guard, but no. What is it with that misunderstanding? I don't get it.
Okay. It's a very like, yes, that's one of the biggest topics that's like talked about in the two fields is like, why don't you guys like each other? And I think it's such a solid misconception because I respect everything that physical therapists do. I mean, they go to school too. We go to school. They're just slightly different. Same with massage therapy. And I work closely with the massage therapist because there's just some things that, one, I don't have the time to spend with a patient to work on this muscle that I know somebody who's well-versed and trained in it. That's what they're doing. They're spending 60 minutes plus with that patient. Great. You go do that, but see me for this separate issue. So that's one thing. And then another thing is the philosophy behind chiropractic is very vitalistic, and it is the brain and the nervous system. So the spinal cord and all the nerves that exit out of the spinal cord literally control everything. Like if your heart's not just beating on its own, it's controlled by the nerves from the brain and the spine that are telling it to beat. Same with every other organ system and every muscle system as well. So how I like to look at it is if an individual is not in a proper alignment or something is wrong biomechanically or whatever it may be, well, the spine and nerves control everything. So I like to look at the root and fixing that first to make that work as best as it possibly can to its optimal potential. And then in turn, symptomatically, something else should improve. So this muscle should reduce, this function, like organ system should work better, something of that sort. So I take care of the root, but then I also do combine in physical therapists with what I do, because sometimes we can take care of the spine all day and your hips can be as neutral as possible. But if your QL or your psoas is chronically tightened and we've fixed the anterior pelvic tilt, well, then you got to look at something else. And usually you have to have more hands in the pot. So I do work, and I have a couple of physical therapists that I really like to refer to because we're all on the same page with things. And ultimately it's what can we do as a team to get the patient better versus arguing back and forth with each other. Because it's not worth it. I'm here to help this person and this person only. So I like to squash that because I hate the feud between physical therapists and chiropractors.
Yeah. Okay. I couldn't have, you said it. I mean, there's really no other way you could have said that. That was like 100%. People should be able to understand that. No problem.
Yeah.
That was great. Okay. Well, I mean, that's ultimately what I was looking forward to is like, why is it that controversy is there? You broke it down like, pretty simple. It should be like a together thing. It all works together. So thank God for Danielle Geiger, y'all. Thank God for Danielle Geiger. All right. I love it. Okay. So that was a little off topic. It's just one of those things that's been floating in my brain all these years. So,
yeah.
I wanted to ask you a deep question here, and they kind of run together.
Okay.
Are there any, I know we talked about your own personal experience, as far as, you having those manipulations, you having that concern when you were a younger age, but are there any like emotional ties behind, like why you decided to become a chiropractor? And if so, does that go into why you chose chiropractic care over anything else, anything like that?
Yeah. There was a brief moment in time when I was in undergrad and I thought that I was going to actually go into traditional Western medicine and do some sort of nursing or something of that sort. But I quickly learned that needles were not my forte and mostly like the gore and the fluids and that kind of stuff. I was like, that is not for me. And thankfully I realized that real quick. And I kind of did a full circle and I was like, I'm going to go back to what I know. And after I did more research and kind of just learned more about like chiropractic and all the avenues that you can take with it, I realized that I liked the holistic approach to everything, and it fit my lifestyle, my nutrition, like just everything as a whole. It fit me. I was like, this is literally the profession for me. This is how I live. I'm either going to do this or acupuncture. And I have my certification in dry needling. So I sort of incorporated that in a way. But I just like the idea of being able to help people in a different way and open up people's minds to something new. Because there are still so many people out there that don't know what we do, and they think that we're neck and back doctors only. And I absolutely can help people with that. That's what we're trained to do, but it's so much more than that. And when people when you see that light bulb click in patients' heads, it's like they finally get it. Like it's so much more than me helping you with your low back pain. Like you can actually pick up your grandchild like off the ground and not be paying for it the next day. So just those little things without having to do a surgical intervention, or a shot or a medication. Like it's just, I love that.
I gotta come see you. Now that I know, I have a chiropractor that I go to, but and he's great. He's not certified in dry needling though. He uses other methods, but I've seen a good response as far as my body goes, and its healing process with chiropractic care and dry needling from my physical therapist. So if there's someone who has both, I need to go check them out. So I'll have to come in and see you. I didn't know. I should have asked you that when we first met, because that would have sold me right then and there. As far as scheduling,
didn't talk about that. Yeah, it's literally the best thing. I love doing it.
Absolutely, it's probably one of the only things that really gets my traps to release sometimes.
Yeah.
But I could talk about my body all day. I'm not going to do that. But yeah, okay, cool. So tell me, Danielle, whenever I am trying to refer people out, as far as my clients go or anyone who comes through the door, if I'm trying to refer them out to people that I think they can, that I think can help them, there always, there usually is a chiropractor in the conversation. So, ultimately what I am looking to know, is how can I better explain to those people what chiropractic care can do for them, so that, we can make it more of a, hey, you're going to come see me, but you need to go see this chiropractor also if you're dealing with XYZ, so that they can fix XYZ, and then you can come in here and feel a lot better. How does chiropractic care relate back to what you're doing in the gym? How does that may be kind of a broad question, but
yeah, I think I get what you're saying. And I think it kind of goes back to, so I'm going to try and explain this just from because so I work with a lot of athletes. It's one of I love working with everybody, but athletes are some of my favorite patients, just because not even an athlete, but people that are into movement and just taking care of how they're moving and they're exercise conscious, just anybody in that falls under that umbrella. Yeah. Love helping them, because usually, especially if they're new to it, to moving their bodies, a structured workout ways, but there's going to be some sort of injury, or you're going to uncover some sort of pain or imbalance at some point. It's bound to happen. I'm guilty of it. It just happens because you're strengthening things, your body's changing, and then your biomechanics are changing. So something else is going to compensate. And that's a whole nother rabbit hole that we won't go down. But my biggest thing is, if you are conscious about moving your body and you're in the gym and you're exercising, why wouldn't you do something to make sure that what you are doing is benefiting your spine and is going to benefit you for the future, longevity wise? So I'm 28 right now, but I'm moving in a way to where I'm moving towards health in the future, so that when I'm 30, 40, 50, I'm not paying for how I'm moving now, because I'm taking care of my spine as well and making sure. It's just like, oh, this is the best analogy ever. It's just like brushing your teeth. You see your teeth on a regular basis because you're in the mirror, you're flossing, you're supposed to be flossing every day, and you're supposed to be brushing your teeth twice a day. It's the same thing for your spine. People don't see your spine. So plaque and decay, you technically are supposed to go to a dentist twice a year, every 6 months. Well, chiropractor is very similar. It's just more frequent. Your spine is naturally going to decay over time in the form of arthritis. In very layman's terms, that's your plaque for your spine. And so what we do is tell that process to slow down or stop it and change it so that you don't lose range of motion when you're 50 years old, or so you're not struggling with right hip pain for the rest of your life. So it's kind of like flossing your spine. I guess that's the best way. That might have been a long-winded answer, but
no, that was great. I like what you said at the end there, flossing your spine. That put it all together.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
easy
nice
for people to see those analogies. So we're the same. Like, you're going to go to a dentist, hopefully, at least once a year. You should do something similar for your spine, because that's what's holding everything together.
Right. Well, I mean, it makes sense, right? I mean, like most of the work that we do, maybe not so much like fitness. Well, yeah, fitness professionals too. Like, no matter what it is, fitness professionals, doctors, whatever it is, most of the things that you're doing are in front of you, right? You're not like doing work behind you like that. So like, a lot of, when you're working with, and obviously like educate me on this, but if you're doing any sort of like thoracic, manipulation or something like that, are you helping me to open up a little bit more into extension? Is that what I'm getting from that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So that means why wouldn't that be beneficial to somebody if they spend all day here in flexion, right? Like but a lot of times people, I feel like they're not looking at it as flossing their spine. And so maybe now they do.
Yeah.
And we're in a better position, Yeah. I love it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's so many like specific things. People that have desk jobs, people that are like this, our current world where everybody's on their phones and their necks are down. If you stay like that in over extended period of time, eventually you're going to be like that in the future. So yeah, we can help combat those things as well.
Do you see a lot of moms?
Yeah, I like pregnant women in general, or
thank you for asking me to clarify because that's very so postpartum, and I guess that's also weird because you're essentially after you have a baby, you're like postpartum for the rest of your life, but I don't know, maybe a year out, something 2 years out.
Yeah, see a ton, and I think that people that go through the birth process should see physical therapist or a chiropractor at some point after, just because the trauma that you go through is a lot. Yeah, so we do postpartum. I do pregnancy work just because I have additional certifications in that as well. That's another like mini niche that I say I qualify for. Love it. Love helping women learn how to move their bodies better.
I've seen a lot of in my days of this is going to sound weird, but in my days of being around pregnant women, I fixed my wording before I said it, but there's a lot of obviously the hunching forward as you're holding and you're feeding.
Yes.
What are a couple of things without giving us all of your services, because we need to come and see you for that. But what are a couple of things that people can do to kind of like, because I will say that's like the majority. I see a lot of mothers.
Uh-huh.
And, I'm currently about to marry one. And so I am always thinking about, what I can personally do. But I wonder, like, what are some things they can do to kind of combat that, or come, I don't want to say come back from, but it almost seems like it's permanent, Mm-hmm. Is there a plan in play that you all would have to bring them back, if that makes sense?
Yeah. And it kind of consists of there's definitely like postural things that you can do to help open up the spine and like reverse the forward hunching, especially if they're nursing. That's like one of the biggest things we see is they're walking in like this because they're constantly holding, nursing.
Yeah.
Anything that's like goalposts, shoulders, scapula down and back, child's pose. My favorite thing is to tell women to buy exercise balls and get on that thing and like open up the mid back with it.
Like the big like physio ball. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you could always I'm sure you have some training with that on how you can like strengthen rhomboids and lower trap fibers just to kind of actually like turn on those muscles again. Yeah. But then also working front too. But then there is a whole protocol that we go through with that patient individually, as far as like, it does depend on what their spine looks like up there. If there's a curve, we're going to do some things a little bit differently.
Yeah, absolutely. So the whole process, I guess, when they come in, if they're a new patient, depending on the insurance, or they need like a referral or anything like that.
No, anyone can come see me.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you can just give us a call and we can set up. So the way that, let me quick explain that. The way that a new patient works in our office is that we typically do two new patient visits. The first one is like data collection. Like we might take x-rays if they're warranted. We're going to do some surface thermal scans. There's no radiation associated with those. Range of motion assessment, orthopedic examination, an actual verbal conversation with the patient, just to kind of get a whole picture as to what's going on. And then day 2 is their second appointment, and that is called your report of findings. I will give you all that information back, but in the form of, this is what I see that's going on. This is how I can help you. This is what I would recommend. And then we can get started. And so that's kind of how that's wrapped together. Yeah. And actually, I will offer, if anybody who hears this is listening and they're like, that sounds like something I'm interested in. Or Austin, if you ever have any clients and you're like, I feel like you should go see Dr. Danielle. If you tell that client, whoever, to mention Gift of Health when they call our office, then we'll honor an $87 first visit where x-rays are included. Those thermal scans are included. Everything's included in the first and second visit, except for an adjustment. So it's kind of a steal, because otherwise it could run up to $200 to $300.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Hey. Yeah. All right. Gift of Health. Love it. Well, and we'll chat about that after, because I definitely want to write that down and be able to send that along. Because like I said, it's about sharing those resources for sure. So, okay, cool. The last question I have for you before we kind of close out is, how do we schedule? And this part I am taking a mental note of, because I'm going to go schedule. But so how do we schedule?
Okay, the best way to schedule is just to call the office. So the office is called Awaken To Wellness Center. Our number is 502-454-3500. We have 2 front desk staff, Pam and John. They will gladly take care of getting you scheduled. They do that process. I would mess it up. That's why I tell people to call rather than try and do something through me, because I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to that.
Okay. Got it. No taking. We'll make sure to give them a call.
Front desk.
Cool. Okay. So that's easy enough. And if you are listening and you're a client of Fitness to Fit You, or if you're just in the community, if you're in this area and you happen to, somehow catch hold of this podcast and you're following me on Instagram or Facebook or whatever it may be, I do have a handful of Danielle's business cards here, for their space to be able to contact them if need be. So we obviously have that information here for you as well. Okay. Very cool. Okay, Danielle, that was awesome. As I said, I meant it. I'm going to go ahead and get scheduled with you, because I'm like, man, I need to get in there and do that myself. I am due for a recovery day for sure. So I have to live by example, right? So that everyone else around me understands the importance of it. So I just want to ask people first, we know what the name of your studio is called. Tell people where they can find you physically and on social media, potentially, if you have it up anywhere on social media.
Yeah, we have a large Facebook following. I typically go live on Facebook every Friday and talk about some sort of wellness topic. So you can search Awaken to Wellness Center and you should be able to find us, like us on Facebook. You'll get our updates. Super fun. You can see my face every week on there. And we are located literally in the heart of St. Matthews. So if you know, for locals, if anybody knows where Trinity High School is, we're in the office condominiums located behind Trinity's like football field kind of. It's off of St. Matthews Avenue. The address is 161 St. Matthews Avenue, and we are suite number 13.
Okay. And I did just look her up. I did just look Awaken to Wellness up online when she was saying that. And there is Danielle's face. All right. So she was not lying. She does go live every Friday. Let's get it. I love it. It's a wonderful face, you all. So you won't miss it when you see it. Okay. Danielle, I forgot to ask you the key questions. Are you married?
No.
Are you in a relationship?
No.
Do you have kids?
I don't.
Okay.
Just a fur kid.
We know what you do for work. What do you do for a hobby?
I love to golf.
Oh, I wasn't expecting you to say that. Okay.
Yeah.
I know we're supposed to be finishing up, but I need to know a little bit about that. When did that start?
I used to take lessons at a very young age, actually right around when I started chiropractic, probably. And so I've always golfed. I just didn't get back into it seriously until maybe 3 years ago. Okay. So now it's just taken off. I love it.
Hey, that's awesome. I don't know why. I mean, I never know what to expect when I ask people that, but I was not expecting golfing.
Yeah, most people don't see that coming from me.
Yeah, I know, right? Very cool. And we know you have a pet, but one more time, what kind of dog is it? What's her name?
Her name is Oakley, and she's an Australian Shepherd.
Oh, man. Okay. I love it. All right. I think I covered. I usually have like 6 questions that I ask people, like who you are and stuff, but I only got 5. I cannot remember the 6th, and that's all good. I'm scrambling a little bit. Anyway, very cool, y'all. So as she said, go check out Facebook, Awaken to Wellness, so that you can check out her live. She's obviously going to be dropping a ton of knowledge. You've been able to get a little bit of that here today on the podcast, so you'll know exactly what I'm referring to when I say that there is a lot of information there for you to receive. And I can't remember, did you say if you were on social media or not? Or I'm sorry, Instagram?
Yes, I have my own. There's an Awaken to Wellness Center on Instagram, and then I have my own page as well. I believe it's Dr. Danielle Geiger. I'm pretty sure that's all it is, with maybe there's a dot in there. Where on that page, I share mostly like pregnancy, pediatric, that kind of stuff.
Okay, look at that. Hey, so cool. Awaken to Wellness. Nice. Okay, yes, you all also on Instagram, Awaken to Wellness. It's right here. I love it. Okay. Thank you so much, Danielle. This was great. We love having these conversations. I say but I mean we, because we are all a team. But we love having these conversations. We love you being on the show. Thank you so much. As I've said before, you all, on our closing statements, you know where to look if you're looking for a place where you can get a more intimate and customized approach to your fitness and health and wellness. Okay, that is Fitness That Fits You. And as you can see, we do have a ton of resource people that we can refer you out to if you have things that you need to have looked at, things that you need to have taken care of, just so you can, even if it's just for maintenance and you want your life to feel better, you want to feel better picking up your kids, feel better with your exercise, whatever it may be, you all. We have the people involved. They're great people. They're great doctors. They have all the knowledge you could ever ask for. People like Danielle. Okay, so if you have any questions about how you can get linked up with Fitness That Fits You, obviously you know where to go. You can check me out on Instagram at AustinFTFY, on Facebook at AustinZ.Pegram. You can also call me. I'm not going to put my phone number on here just in case people reach out to me and they get a little crazy. But you can email me at austin.pegram@gmail.com. If you have questions about the gym or questions about how to get in touch with Danielle, we've got that information here for you. Okay. Thank you very much for listening, and have a great rest of your day.